You managed to make it 40 seconds longer.
I'm telling you, man. I'm working it up.
40 seconds.
We're going to release that on iTunes, that track.
Yeah,
just
sure.
The Dazzle intro. The Razzle Dazzle show intro.
Yeah, sure. For those out there who actually want to pay money for this.
You know, I don't... You can fast forward through it. Like, I don't care. Like, I want to play the fucking Dazzle pad.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna.
I know. Apparently there's actually some.
By the way, we've already been copy stricken.
Yeah.
Or we've already had
I got one in
email.
the mail. No, I got one. Somebody knocked on my door. Yeah, there's actually certain podcast apps will actually let you like skip intros, like a la Netflix and whatever.
Yeah.
So. That's interesting.
I like the intro.
I like the intro.
I like to hear it, but I
listen to it in bed, in the shower.
I've seen
my Vinegar Strokes.
What is a vinegar stroke?
You never heard of Vinegar Strokes?
No.
It's a term popularized by the show The League. And the Vinegar Strokes is when you're in that last like 5-second run up when you're about to come, and it looks like somebody put a spoon of vinegar under your nose. Oh, like you're arced and ready to fire. Those are your Vinegar Strokes.
All right.
They say if you look into a man's eyes during his Vinegar Strokes, you can see directly into his soul.
Yeah.
I can't say that I've tried it.
It's a new world.
Yeah,
I notice a lot of people have really short intros.
Yep.
A lot of podcasts. It's just like do 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 pop, and it's like, yeah, that's cool, but it's like, fuck that.
I'm pretty sure that's the intro music from Mario 2.
No, that's oh well, yeah, that's the intro. Okay, I've had enough.
Sorry, man. My favorite game is Doki Doki Panic.
I know. It's a great game.
Yeah.
And in fact, they did a speed run of the Doki Doki Panic on Awesome Games Done Quick, which anybody listening who likes speedruns
or video games
in general
dislikes cancer.
Yes. It is a wonderful marathon. It's over now, but they do it twice a year. They do it in the winter, which is Awesome Games Done Quick, and then they do it in the summer, which is Summer Games Done Quick. And they raise charity for stand up to cancer.
Stand up, yeah,
or for cancer.
Stand up, one of the two. It used to be Doctors Without Borders. They've changed charities a few times, but it's always been a very reputable.
You can't. You got to spread the love. Exactly. Around.
Well, also they're when they first started, they raised like $10,000 in a week, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!"
Right.
So they first started in like 2011, 2012, I think,
something like that.
Like that. This last week, they raised over $2 million.
So not only was it over $2 million, it was over $2.2 million.
Yeah. And that's just donations during the week. That's not including sponsorships and all kinds of other revenue. But yeah, they raised over $2.2 million in 7 days.
And if there's a video game that you like, or a video game that you remember from your childhood, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to have some sort of playthrough of something or something else that may have been in your childhood. It's very rare that they play. There's something for everybody.
Pretty much. They play a lot of really, really normal stuff like, Mario, Zelda, stuff like that. They play a lot of really weird stuff like Avoid the Noid, which is a game released by like Domino's marketing department in the 80s. They play everything. They play old games, they play new games, they play everything.
I just want you to know that's not the only Noid game that
I know.
There's also one that came out for Nintendo.
Mm-hmm. And then remember when
it's called Yo Noid.
You remember when 7-Up?
Cool Spot.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't gotta fucking. I know,
Dude,
buddy.
well, these kids don't know.
These kids don't know.
Kids today.
And you know what? It wasn't that bad.
Cool Spot? No, Cool Spot was pretty good.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that bad. Most marketing games, like when you think of them, you think of things like the Burger King Sneak King, which is one of the worst games ever made, and also Pepsi Man, which is one of the worst games ever made.
Well, Pepsi was trying to compete with Cool Spot.
Well, this came out for the PlayStation.
Did it?
Pepsi Man?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, dude. You don't know the Pepsi Man?
I haven't played it.
It is unbelievably terrible. YouTube, anybody should, you all should stop and YouTube
Pause
in a separate browser.
Yeah. We'll wait.
And play this because I don't know if it came out in America. But there are little cutscenes of a fat American guy drinking Pepsi and like with bags of empty Doritos and like mayonnaise jars, and he's just like, and he's talking to you like in a first person, fourth wall breaking, and every scene he's like, and he's opening up Pepsi cans and guzzling them. Then it's like them making fun of fat stupid Americans.
Sure.
And then the game
drinking Pepsi,
and the game itself is of a guy. Well, I don't know. It could be an alien. It's not really a said, but it's just a blue and silver, flesh suit, spandex suit, and he runs.
Cool.
And that's it. And you have to avoid obstacles while running.
Sounds like Paperboy.
It is, but it's even worse. Because you don't do anything. You don't have a projectile. You just run. You press direction buttons. He slides.
Oh, I was
going
to say you can't squirt Pepsi at people?
You can slide and jump. And you have to collect Pepsi cans, obviously. Anyways, we went a little too far with that. But the point is GDQ is fantastic.
I love GDQ in general. Awesome Games Done Quick and Summer Games Done Quick are both fantastic, and they're for fantastic causes. But
anytime somebody does charity in general, let me revise. Reputable charities, and something like video games. I mean, you got to respect that.
Yeah.
And I noticed something while watching, and this is gonna sound bad, but it's gonna resolve.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that I noticed that there are a bajillion transgender speedrunners.
I didn't know that.
Well, it more so than you see anywhere else.
So you're saying that in a given demographic, like football players, chefs, professional video gamers, you're saying that in those given demographics that it's a much higher.
I'm gonna say it's per. I don't want to say
per
capita, but it was a lot more prominent.
Huh.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But I didn't get it. Like I was like, why are there so many like transgender that I can tell speedrunners or people in general in gaming? And then I kind of thought about it, and I was like, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I have my theory why it makes sense as well.
I think it makes sense because a lot of speedrunners and game players in general, heavy game players and stuff, they're generally shut-ins or hermits, and they spend a lot of time around computers and behind a computer screen or behind a TV and a console, and over the headsets, outside of the fuck your mothers and die in a fire, everybody's equal kind of. Like there's nobody on the other end that you can see.
And that's essentially what I was thinking is people who've had a hard time, maybe had a hard time finding exactly their niche or exactly their clique or whatever. Out in the real world, it video games provide a much more open and free and less bullshit laden,
and they've embraced
place
it
to just be yourself.
And it seems like a lot of the people have embraced that idea, and it's probably a place where these individuals can be a part of something, but also be accepted into something. I'm not really big on my thoughts and feelings on everything are aside. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not a big fan of bullying, and it's nice to see something that, video gamers get shit on a lot, in life, and have been, always have this kind of air of loserdom around them.
Or have for a very long time.
For a very long time. And then you see something like that, and you're like, where else are you going to see such an accepting group of people for everybody? Black, white, fat, skinny, trans, gay, pan,
let's be
whatever.
honest. As far as gaming goes, there's a lot more fat than skinny. But yeah,
That's true.
They're not mean to the skinny kids.
They're all sitting there fucking playing games.
Yeah.
They're living their best life.
Yeah.
And I love it.
There was a meme a bunch of years ago that it was like, it was a big fat dude with like a neck beard and a long ponytail, and he had just a wall of like anime characters and figurines and blah blah blah, and it's like people were making fun of him, and then there's just one long comment that's like, "Are you people insane? Like this guy is doing what makes him happy,
right?
And is living, like you said, his best life. He's doing things that he enjoys, in collecting things that he enjoys, and like, tell me one thing that you've done as fully as he does that makes you as happy as that makes him." Like, so it sort of plays into that same vein of like, yeah, these guys who are showing up with like video game clothing and weird hats and shit, and like know all the words to weird video game lyrics and stuff. Like that's stuff that I've always done, and like the weird video game knowledge that I have, and geekdoms and geekisms that I've had with certain video games throughout my life. And there's been plenty of people that have shit on me for it, but I don't give a fuck. I've always, I don't care.
Well, some of us are stronger than others.
No, that's
but
true.
the one of the other things is, for 361 days out of the year, those most of the people that you see doing these speedruns, I don't want to make assumptions, but probably aren't living their best life, but for those four days or whatever, that those kids are fucking gods. Like, rooms clapping, like we're it's great. And you can see how happy they are, after they do a speed run, and it's like, they're like 5 minutes underestimate. It's like, yeah, I just fucking did that. Yeah, I just beat Super Metroid reverse boss hoarder 10 minutes under. Yeah, I did that.
Yeah. And it was, there was a series of videos that came out like one each day of like funny / cringe moments from,
well, there's plenty of cringe, yeah,
from AGDQ. And one of the things that they kept doing is they kept zooming in on a guy dancing,
yes,
in the crowd,
in between the...
and it pissed me off because I know who that is. That's a speedrunner named
Pooexel, yeah.
And B, he is probably
top tier,
hands down, one of the best Final Fantasy speedrunners in the world.
Absolutely.
So fuck you guys.
Well, it's funny because people were commenting that, but the people there were like, yeah, keep it going, Pooexel, dancing between the whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, this guy is...
And first of all, if you watch his hands, he knows every note of every song that they're playing. Because if you watch his hands, he is hand jamming out, not in any specific like instrument, like not playing the drums or air guitar,
jazz fingers.
He is jamming the fuck out to every song, every note of every song that they played. So
shout out to Pooexel.
Fuck you guys for trying to dance shame him.
Yeah. Well, people on the outside, try to get those clicks.
Yeah.
Any fucking YouTube video with the word cringe or fail in it is.
Yeah.
So now they're just, anybody that types in AGDQ cringe, someone's getting 500,000 hits. So the moral of that is this video will be titled AGDQ Cringe.
Clickbait.
Put a bunch of emojis.
One weird trick. Your doctors will hate you. Mental health professionals anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so last week we we recorded, and you left, and while I was still down in the Dazzle fort, the R&D fort, I was doing some editing or something, and you texted me. You're like, "Hey, I left a Culver sandwich under the desk." No,
I just looked at
it's not still there. I left a Culver sandwich under the desk for you. And I'm like, cool, thanks. So I'm sitting down here and I'm editing, and I go to grab it and I go to eat it, and I eat it, and it was like 4 hours old at that point.
Yeah,
it was probably the worst barbecue I've ever had in
there
my
was
life.
barbecue on that?
It was a barbecue. It was like a pulled beef sandwich.
It's not what I ordered.
What did you order?
I ordered a double burger.
Oh no, that was like a weird. Unless someone chewed your double burger
and switched it around some baby rays
and spit it back onto a bun. No. It was terrible. Dry.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
It was terrible, dry barbecue beef with no sauce at all.
Really?
So I went
sorry.
I went upstairs and got barbecue sauce and put it on this sad sandwich, and I ate it, and I immediately started feeling terrible. So Friday
oh
through,
my god, was that what happened?
I don't know. I didn't have like vomiting or nausea or anything. So but Friday night I got like a 102-degree fever. And then Saturday night I had like 103-degree fever. And I've had all kinds of weird stomach stuff and everything. And I went to the doctor, and they said I didn't have the flu. And but I wasn't throwing up or didn't have diarrhea or anything. So that speaks to it not being food poisoning. I don't know. I caught the Culvades.
Did you tell the doctor?
Yeah. I told him
Okay.
I didn't tell him it was sitting on the floor for 3 hours.
Well, that would be like one of those house episodes.
Yeah.
Like at the end, he sees a wrapper on the floor, and he's like, "Did you eat Culver's?
Did you let
4 hours after
Yeah.
you have Culverdiculitis?"
Dude. Exactly. So that leads me to the single topic that I wrote down that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that is.
So the topic, the two words I wrote down are peppermint balls. And so while I was sick, like Sunday night, Monday, something like that, Monday night, I also had a really, really terrible headache, and it wouldn't go away. And I mean, like, anyone who's ever had like extreme headaches, I'm talking about like it was like the nerve behind my right eye, up over my eyebrow, up over the side of my head, all the way down to my neck.
Sounds like a migraine.
It was fucking awful. I couldn't get rid of it. So Mrs. Razzle is into what I call voodoo, but
yeah.
Everyone else calls
holistic
essential oils.
Oh God!
But I call it voodoo.
Well, wait. Before you go on, do you mean like does she diffuse them just because it's nice smelling?
She'll do,
or does she do it because it's like rub it on your feet because it's going to cure
some
AIDS?
of everything?
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Some of everything. So I asked her, I'm like, dude, and I was at my wit's end, dude. I was gonna jump off a bridge onto the fucking highway. Like, I'm at my wit's end. I can't get this headache to go away. So I told her, I'm like, okay, do you have any voodoo for this? Is there any voodoo in your voodoo book? And she has a voodoo book that she'll like, okay, this one's good for this, blah blah blah. So she's like, yeah. So lavender and peppermint are both good.
I was gonna say peppermint.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, fine. So she diffuses the lavender, and she's like, okay. She gave me a couple of drops of the peppermint to put. She's like, rub it on your temples and rub it on the back of your neck. I'm like, okay, fine. So put a couple drops on my finger, rub it onto my other finger, rub my temples, rub the back of my neck. And actually, at that moment, it seemed to help. Now I tried it again a few days later. It didn't help. But at that moment, seemed to help. Seemed to either. I don't know what it was, but it seemed to either maybe take my mind off it, because literally all I could smell was peppermint, like an extremely strong scent.
Yes.
I don't know what it was, but it seemed to help. So
coincidence. That's what it was.
Sure. So we're laying in bed and whatever, and rolling around, scratching my nuts, and a few minutes after, I'm like, oh no. She's like, what? I'm like, I scratched my balls and they feel weird now, and I know what happened. She's like, what? I'm like, I got peppermint on my balls. She's like, what? Like, I got peppermint on my balls and they feel weird.
Yep, that'll happen.
And it felt, imagine the sensation of chewing Altoids and gargling Listerine with your balls.
I mean,
that
sounds great.
That is exactly
refreshing.
The sensation. It was a very cool burning all over my testicles. While I was laying there, and she kept trying to get me to go like get up and wash them off. I'm like, no, it'll pass. It's just super weird. It feels weird on my balls, and I don't. It'll go away. It'll go away. And so eventually, it did go away.
4 hours later.
Yeah, but I told her, I'm like, yeah, now would be the opportune time if you wanted to go down on me, because it would just all you'd smell is peppermint. Like it smell like you're sucking off a candy cane.
That was a big hard pass, I bet.
Yeah, no, it was. That was hard. It was a soft pass. Both a soft and hard pass, if you know what I mean. So the moral of this story is, if folks out there, if you do end up with peppermint oil on your balls, just give it like 15-20 minutes. It'll go away.
Yeah, that's rough.
That was it was an adventure. So
I did something similar, but because I have like essential oils, but I diffuse them just because I like the scent. I do think that certain scents are more calming than others.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm kind of stressed out or something, I'll burn some lavender. And it's really weird because normally I don't like the scent of lavender through like lotions and stuff. But the essential oil I can deal with. But I also like eucalyptus and things like that. But once I had, I don't know if it was peppermint. It was either peppermint or like tea tree, because they're both green.
Oh yeah, tea tree will do it.
And I spilled some on my hands while I was pouring the bottle into the little like reservoir thing with the water.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and I thought I just kind of rinsed my hands. I didn't really wash them. But then
turns out oil and water.
Yeah, but turns out that didn't do anything, because then I took my glasses off and scratched my eye. Like the corner of my eye, and I was in some pain. I was flushing my eye for like 5 minutes. I couldn't.
Did it look like better or worse than when you got Razzle Cat Poop in your eye?
It was better than that. Okay. Like the Razzle Cat, the Razzle Poop hit me hard that day.
That was rough.
Oh God.
Just watching you pull those stringy goobers out of your fucking eyes.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I should probably go see somebody about that.
Yeah, it's eye spoo.
I think everybody gets it, but I think
you get more.
I get more of it, and I think once I've found out that you can actually get it out of your eye, it's like I've obsessed over it. Like anytime I feel something in my eye, I'm in the bathroom peeling open my lid, and there's points where I'll take Q-tips.
Ugh.
And like
that can't be good for you.
Why?
A Q-tip in your eye? That can't be good for you.
Dude, I'm not jamming it in my eye and swirling it like a mixer.
A fiber or something gets stuck in, like that can't be good for you.
A fiber? What kind of fiber?
From the Q-tip, like a cotton fiber.
Dude, how many times have you gotten an eyelash in your eye?
Not that often, but I've never gone in there with a Q-tip. I just wait for it to resolve.
I'm pretty sure a soft cotton Q-tip it means no harm to my eyeball.
It makes me uncomfortable to think about it.
Yeah. No, it's very uncomfortable.
I don't like it.
But,
I had a Q-tip up my nose this week. That was no fun.
Well, that was for the flu.
Yeah.
Isn't that the word? They jam that fucking thing real far up there.
Well, the nurse comes in and she's like, okay, we gonna do a nose swab. And that's just how she talks. I'm like.
She was German?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm just sitting there like, just go, cool. And it took her about 10 seconds, and then she just bust out laughing. Ah! He said cool.
He said cool. It's not cool.
Yeah, and then we were laughing together, and then she did it.
And then we all had a good time.
Yeah, one of us did.
What?
Assuming one of us gets off on jamming Q-tips up our noses.
Yeah, well, it's better than the urethra. I've had that before.
They did that to check for the flu?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
A flu of types.
Yeah. I had flu type D. I had the D flu. Pew, pew. What is? Oh, that's right. I forgot.
The cock sniffles.
Oh man. Man, I went to Orlando recently, and I wanted to. I don't know if I told you. I'd say, you know,
you haven't told me much about your.
We like to talk. Razzle and I talk a lot, but
more than any two non-people, and more than any two people who aren't having sex talk.
Right. And you know, we like to save some stuff for, you know, we don't want to blow our loads, so to speak. Even though we can say the same things on the podcast, but then you're not going to get the natural reactions that you would normally get. So I wanted to talk a little about Orlando, and I wanted to talk a little bit about people in general, because I noticed something.
That they're the worst?
Yeah, I think living in a busier area, close to a very big city, and spending a lot of time in that big city, I think we've come to take for granted the fast pace of life. Because in Orlando,
did you know? Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say that's a real thing.
No, it is a real thing.
Pace is directly proportional to population. But go ahead.
It's true, and I can attest to it 100% because people in Orlando don't want to fucking move. Like, everywhere I went, there's just fucking people in my way. And from driving to walking, like, I couldn't believe the pace that people. We went to Universal Studios. And it really wasn't that busy. It was a good time to go because we were kind of at the tail end of winter break for kids. And we went on the weekend where kids were probably at home, you know, getting their sleep schedule back on track or whatever. So it really wasn't that busy. Now, we went to Universal and we went to SeaWorld. SeaWorld was even more dead. But Universal, I couldn't believe the amount of people that you're in this. You paid a shit ton of money. It's not cheap to go to Universal. In fact, it's so expensive, it's laughable how expensive it is. Like, I remember not too long ago, it was half or a little more than half of what it is now. It's fucking crazy. Now I know why people don't take their kids to, like, Disney World and Universal.
Well, not to mention the fact that it's across the country, but from us.
But even still, even if you were a resident of Florida, it puts Great America to shame. Like, Great America for us is our kind of closest thing. And what is that? It's like $50 or $60 a ticket. And even that's like fucking astronomically high.
Hey, if you bring a Coke can, it's like $10 off.
Yeah. I remember when you brought a Coke can, it was $10 off, and like the ticket was like $35 or something.
Yep.
And now it's even and to eat at Great America or Universal or anywhere, holy Jesus! I mean, it's
you imagine if you're there with like 3 kids, much it'd be insane.
Well, I was doing the math because I was thinking, you know, I usually take a 1 or like 1.5 vacations a year, and you know, I've only taken the kids a couple times, and generally it's just because scheduling and it's expensive. And I was doing the math. I was like, you know what? How much would it take for me to take the little Dazzles and Mrs. Dazzle and the 4 of us go, you know, to Universal or go to Florida for a week and do some stuff? Well, judging by the price of tickets and everything, plane tickets and all, to get down there, the hotel for the 4 of us, I mean, you're looking at $1,600 in airfare. You're looking at probably $600 or more in hotel. Let's say $800. We don't stay at a Motel 6. We stay at a Holiday Inn. You're looking at just to get there, $2,400. Then you got to take into account, you know, you're going to need a rental car because I mathed it out. And Uber or Lyft, you know, if you've got a lot of things planned for a lot of days, it's cheaper now to rent a car. I don't know if they've lowered their prices
because of that.
Of that.
It's possible.
Thank you, Uber, because we got a car for $40 a day, which is, I think that's pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so you're looking at, $2,500, $2,600 to $2,800 just with a car, hotel, airfare. So once you spend that, well, I mean, then it's, $1,000 for Universal tickets, because it's about $200 and something if you want, 2 days or whatever. And then you got your SeaWorld. You want to do SeaWorld? You want to eat? You want to, dude? It's like a $5,000 vacation. It's
easily,
crazy.
Yep.
So we're not gonna be doing that.
Yeah,
not this year.
I think that's right around what it cost for myself and Mrs. Razzle to go to Italy for almost 3 weeks.
Oh my god!
Right around $5,000. That's fucking Italy.
Well, that's Italy.
And
I mean,
it's for roughly 3 weeks.
But the bulk of that was probably the airfare.
It was like $2,600.
Yeah,
yeah.
The airfare was the bulk of that. And once you take that out, then it's not that bad. But it's I kind of, with my last vacation, I had a great time, and it wasn't that expensive. I got, a cheap rate for the hotel because I know somebody who works for that chain. Everything was really, really kept down to a minimum. So we didn't spend a whole lot. We could have spent a whole lot more.
Sure.
But a small sense of guilt kind of came over me at certain points. I was like, I really should. They're getting older, and I've never really done a big, thing with it. Like, we went to Wisconsin Dells and stuff like that. But I know my older sister Dazzle took her kids to Disney a few years ago. She has, two of her kids are younger than my kids, but and I was like, oh, that must be nice, but Jesus, I can only imagine.
Yeah,
what's cost them a fortune, because that's 5 of them.
You're smuggling sandwiches in your underwear.
Well, yeah, she probably did things like that, to cut a few bucks. Because, dude, I mean, I'll tell you this, SeaWorld was affordable, in my opinion, between the two. With food and everything. Well,
yeah, they don't have to feed all those whales anymore. They keep dying.
Right. Yeah. I think I was eating whale.
Yeah.
And it's delicious. But Universal was like, I think I had a chicken sandwich, plain. There was nothing on it, and I bought one of those refillable cuppy things
for $45.
No, it was like $22. But you bet your motherfucking ass I filled that thing up like 7 times. I was like, I actually stuck around because Mrs. Dazzle went and made love to the penguins or whatever.
Right. I saw the pictures.
Yeah, and so she did all that. I wasn't a part of that because I don't know, like I'm not into it, and it probably smelled like fucking
penguin shit,
rotten crotch, and all kinds of shit. So I was like, I'm just gonna stick around here and I'll wait for you, dude. I kept going into the restaurant right next to it and just filling it up,
just filling a loop it up between restaurant and bathroom,
just a loop. And the girl behind the counter saw me every 5-10 minutes. I was like, yep, just need a refill. So I got my $22 worth of Coke. And Coke Zero.
Good.
But yeah, so we got a pretty good deal. But Howl at the Moon, that's my takeaway. Anybody that listens, go to Howl at the Moon.
Isn't there one in Chicago?
There is one, I believe, in Chicago. But dead air. I'm sorry. I got a very important text message. So, so yeah, I'm sorry. I had an important text message and then I lost my train of thought. Oh, Howl at the Moon.
Yes.
I think maybe I'm a little bit more biased because I'm a keyboardist, but Howl at the Moon is kind of like a dueling pianos type bar, but they also over the course of the night as people drink more, and everybody gets all, rowdy and drunk. They have more people come out and play instruments. Then it's like a whole fucking band, So that was a really good time, and I'm glad I got to go on our last night. We had such a good time that we missed our plane the next day. Oh, yes, that was good. But you know what?
It kind of worked out.
Yeah, hashtag not a sponsor, but Southwest put us on standby for the next flight. And there was plenty of room, they said. So we got on standby. We didn't sit next to each other, but we still, we got seats.
That's not guaranteed, even if you make your normal flight. It's not guaranteed you're going to sit next to each other on Southwest.
It's true.
Which is one of the reasons I hate Southwest.
But that's the first time in all of the times I've ever ridden Southwest. It's one of those things where, yeah, it's a risk, but I mean,
it happens to me.
If you wake up
a lot,
if you wake up or set a reminder to
register, I've registered. I have checked in exactly. I've refresh, and check in like exactly 24 hours. The second they let you do it, and you're like B60, like Group B, number 60. I've done that shit, and I fucking hate Southwest specifically for that.
If you get B30 and lower, you're gonna sit next to each other.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
B60 is a little high. I think Mrs. Dazzle and I were in the mid to upper B, and we took like the last two seats together on the way there.
So that's what I'm saying is like that's one of the reasons I don't like it.
Well,
like it's cheaper. It is cheaper.
That's where they get you to pay.
I know.
Pay $20 for the early bird check-in or whatever.
I know. It is cheaper, even with the
even with
$20.
that. But that's why you get put into B60.
I know, but
because everybody's paying for that.
I still like to pick my seat either way because I like to sit on an aisle. I don't like sitting in the middle. I don't like sitting on the window.
Hey, man, I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, we all have our things.
Yep.
I am a fan of Southwest, and this was another reason why. They could have very well told me to fuck off.
Yeah.
They could have, very well have refunded me and then made me repurchase, which would have been way more expensive.
Right.
But the flight was on, we got on, and we actually, because that flight was a nonstop flight and our original flight had a layover, we got back to the airport. We got home like 25 minutes before our bags got there.
Right.
Like we had to wait for our bags.
That's
so
what
it worked out.
That's what I was saying is, it worked out in a couple of senses. One, you got to sleep a little longer. Two, we
didn't get to sleep a little longer. I mean, we did, but not as long as we could have.
No, not as long as you could have. But you got home around the same time.
Yeah. It worked out. So, but Mrs. Dazzle was a fucking wreck that day. She was not in a good place.
Yeah, I believe it.
I could tell by the streaks in the toilet. She was.
Wait, for the mouth streaks or the butt mouth streaks?
The butt mouth streaks.
You know when it separates into oil and liquid.
Yeah.
That's a bad.
Well, we were drinking.
That's a bad night.
I mean, usually it's me. If we're in a situation where I am able to let loose and let her rip, I'm usually the one.
Like twice a year.
Right, that's very true. But on those days when I let her rip, I let it rip.
Boy, do I know.
And she was right there. I mean, they have these buckets. They're like 86 or 92 ounces or something. I mean, it's a fucking bucket. It's like something you'd put paint in. Like it's a bucket.
Yeah.
And they fill it with booze and juice and semen, whatever. And they put a bunch.
A little bit of semen helps the medicine go down.
They put bendy straws in it that are, as
so it's from Wayne's World, that drink that they're drinking in Wayne's World when he signs the contract at the very beginning.
Yes,
it's just a giant fishbowl.
It's a giant fishbowl basically, and it's got maraschino cherries, a couple umbrellas.
Oh, it's got a whole jar of them.
I think we had 2 of those.
Sure.
And then we were drinking regular drinks.
That sounds awful. That sounds like a terrible idea.
I was
to go
drinking
back and forth.
Manhattans with
Sure.
Maker's Mark, and she was drinking something clear. I don't remember what it was.
It was water. She was fucking
Yeah,
with you.
sure. Yeah, and we had a bunch of those, and then and it was very inexpensive because the lady gave us because we had to wait to get in. Like we had to stand at the front because the girl at the front desk who takes the money for the cover was off doing something. So we're standing there, and the bouncer dude's like, "Oh yeah, I'm really sorry about this. I can't. You gotta." And I was like, "Can I just give you the money? Like, and you give her the money?" They gave me a free drink thing.
Okay, what's the largest drink you have?
And no, well, it says up to $8.25 or whatever.
Okay.
So there was that, and then I was singing along to one of the songs, and the one of the piano guys was like, "Yeah, this guy's the only one singing," so he gave me a free drink card, and then it was actually relatively inexpensive. So, and the buckets were only like $16 or something.
That's cheap in general.
Something around there. Yeah, they're fucking cheap. I mean, they're not the booziest thing in the world,
well,
but hey, man, couple of those to kind of get the night started, and then 5 Manhattans later. Whew. And we met a nice couple. I couldn't even pick them out in a lineup.
Mr. and Mrs. Blurry.
Yeah, I don't know. I think one of them was Native American looking.
we Mrs. Razzle and I did that over here at one of the breweries nearby. We were at one of the breweries, and we had been drinking a couple of beers, and we struck up a conversation with this couple at the next table. And we're bullshitting, we're drinking, they're drinking. I recommended a beer, so we all had one, and they recommended a beer, and we all had one, and the beer they recommended was like 18%. So, we all drank that, and then we went and met up at another brewery and kept drinking, and then we were supposed to meet them at another bar, and we had to pass home on the way there, and we went straight home. We were fucking annihilated. I woke up in the middle of the night and threw up off the side of my bed. Like onto the floor, onto the table, onto the side of the bed, and just went back to sleep. And she threw up. I think she made it to the toilet. Like, she threw up a bunch of times, and like the next day, I'm just fucking super hungover, trying to scrub puke out of the side of my bed.
That's the worst.
And off the carpet, and it was fucking terrible. So yeah, I'm familiar with Mr. and Mrs. Blurry. I've had a night out with them as well.
I used to play a game every time I had an ex that the next day we would play hide and puke, where I would smell puke in the house or somewhere, and then I would have to find it because she would puke and then try to cover it up like a dog. Like bury it. So like there was one time I'm like, it was the next day, and I'm like, someone puked here in this room, in this bedroom. I can't find it. Where did you puke? I don't know. I don't know where you got to give me something. Like, what's the last thing you remember? Where's the last place you were that's kind of weird? Like where's the last place you were in this room? I don't know. I don't remember. Finally, I'm cleaning, I'm vacuuming. I'm like, maybe it's just like my nose, or maybe it's something. I couldn't figure it out.
A weird stinky booger.
I couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, I'm under the bed, behind the TV. I'm like, where? In a drawer, in a lockbox. I'm looking in socks. I'm looking in shirts. Because I wouldn't put it past her to like grab an old shirt and throw up into it and then ball it up and like shove it in a drawer. Like that kind of shit happened. So finally, I noticed. Just barely. You know when you have a table on carpet, mm-hmm. and if you move it, the little feet leave a little impression.
Little indentation.
There's a little impression, near the bedside table.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like it was moved over a couple inches, and I picked it up. Oh boy, oh boy, looked like old chunky salsa. Like I was like, what is this? I was like, I wouldn't even need a lab to dissect this and run tests to know what you ate. It's like there's
chicken bone,
some chip dip. there's some.
I can see all 7 layers
all
of this dip.
I could see. We had what was that artichoke? I could see the pieces of artichoke from the artichoke dip, and it wasn't a very big spot. You know, it was about I don't know, about 3 or 4 or 5 inches across, and you know, whatever. And man, it took forever to just clean it enough where it didn't smell anymore. And then I put the table right back over it. I was like, I don't want to see this. Like, you know, we'll clean this.
It's not enough resolve in the world.
We'll clean this later. And when I moved out, I ended up having to clean that, and it took a while.
That sucks.
You know, but hide and puke, hide and puke, or puke and hide. As
puke and seek.
Puke and seek. There you go. That's what I wanted. Puke and seek, baby. Let's hope you never have to play that game.
I trust me. I haven't thus far. Both of us are pretty vocal. Like we generally wake up each other with our pukage.
Well, you know, it's sometimes you gotta do it. You know, some of us are louder than.
How the fuck did she move the table?
Well, it's a very little end, like next to the bed. Like it's a very little. It's like metal. It's like aluminum-y.
Got it.
But it's hollow. You know. So I actually still have that table. So yeah, I was actually like, oh, this is perfect. You know, it easier to clean. You know, it's fucking made of metal. You know, you just and
just throw it in the dishwasher.
It's very true. Yeah, I wish I could just take the top off, throw it in the dishwasher.
Dude, I wish I could just push the clean cycle on my whole house and then lock the door and walk out and have the whole house.
You know what you do? You just
be a dishwasher.
You just well, I mean, when you move and you know, if you have like a 2-bedroom, you just put the showers on hot, open up the doors, just steam the whole house.
That'll work.
And then because I can tell you this is disgusting. So I currently live in a house that has smoke in it, and you know how you see you go to someone's house, or you know, maybe like grandma died or an aunt died or something. You go to their house and they've been smoking in it for 30 years. The walls are like off-white.
Yeah.
You know. So, but you don't notice it. Like
you don't notice it until that first clean spot shows up.
So I was super drunk one night, and I was like, I need to take a shower. I turned the shower on and fell asleep, and the shower must have used all the hot water on the block. Like it just like every bit of hot water in the hot water tank, just for I don't know how long. But I woke up a couple hours later. And when you walked into the bathroom, it looked like the walls were bleeding. Like from the very ceiling all the way down, just orange drip marks. And then you could kind of see what color the paint is underneath. And you're like, oh, I was like, holy shit. Because a lot of the, you know, most of the smoking has taken place in the lower, like the first floor. Mm-hmm. Second floor pretty much remains smoke free, except for what comes out of the vents and all that other stuff. And it's really bad. Like that place needs. I try to get it cleaned or have clean it myself as much as I can, but I haven't gone as far as smear the filth. Yeah, I haven't gone so far as to clean the walls, but someone's gonna need to fucking clean those walls because that is wretched. And if we start doing the podcast in between your in between time,
while I'm homeless,
I'm gonna have to do something because there's no way you're gonna want to do a podcast there. Do you know where you're? Oh yeah, you had told me.
Yeah. So well on that note,
man, that flew by.
It did fly by.
I think I'm just used to the last one because it was like an hour.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So on that note, I will do my rigmarole.
Yes.
We are on YouTube. We are on iTunes. We are on Spotify. We are on Google Play. We are on podparadise.com. We're on Twitter at RAZZLDAZZL show. So find us, seek us out, like, comment, subscribe, all those fun
Smash
things.
that bell.
Send us oh, real quick before we go.
Yep.
I enraged last week.
The feminists?
I enraged the feminists last week. I watched a movie called The Red Pill, and all I did was post on Twitter that I had watched the movie and that I thought it was a well-researched portrayal of the issues that it discussed, and people came out of the motherfucking woodwork.
People were not happy
to blow me up. So that was fun. Now we can go into more next time. We can talk about, you know, the purpose of the point of the film, which is like men's rights, next time. But yeah, I'm that's all, folks.
You know, I was gonna say something real quick about that. That we both, I mean, you're much more active on Twitter. And then at first I was like, oh my God, Razzle, why are you even like feeding the trolls? And but then I thought for sure you started it. Like, for sure, because I get the notifications blowing up on my phone, and I saw them, but I was driving, and I was like, oh God, what did you do? Like, what crazy? And then I was like, oh well, that's not your problem. Like, you were fairly reasonable with your.
I was pretty middle of the road, and people came out of the woodwork to shart upon our Twitter account. Well, so anyway, see y'all next week. Adios.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. So I can't figure out. Oh, I just figured it out. I couldn't figure out the whole this whole section of the Dazzle Pad was being taken up by a mixer, and it wouldn't go away. So I couldn't get to the other fucking tracks.
It's okay. It's okay. One more time.
We're gonna start. We're gonna start from here.
I love the 30-second beats.
Yeah, you like that?
Bye.
Bye.